The severe weather season is upon us, a grim reminder of the devastation from deadly floods last May. Tonight, a made-in-Texas solution that is set to give forecasters the unheard-of ability to predict flooding like that hours, perhaps days out. Right now, our forecasts rely largely on atmospheric conditions like moisture and wind speed. But the forecast of the future is combining that sky forecast with what's on the ground. Important information that comes from weather forecasts, stream flow gauges, watershed maps, land cover and elevation maps, and FEMA floodplain maps. To learn about this radical approach, KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell traveled from Central Texas to Alabama, which suffered its own deadly flooding last year. One of the reasons it's home to the all-new National Water Center.
The mission of the National Water Center is in the same life-saving category as, say, the National Hurricane Center or the National Storm Prediction Center, all providing real-time information for Americans when severe weather strikes. It's just that this center specializes in collecting information from the nation's rivers, creeks, and streams to make flood forecasts, and the first of its kind. So when it floods in Central Texas, what'll happen here?
From here, we will be verifying data, verifying forecast, backing them up. These will be the models that will go out nationally and that will be implemented across the nation.
The Water Center feels more like a high-tech lab than a government agency. In June, engineers and researchers say they'll flip the switch on what they describe as a game changer in water forecasting. How confident are you that this is even going to work?
I think out of sheer determination it will work. I believe that this will not fail. I think we have a lot of people from many different backgrounds all focused towards making it happen.
At the forefront is a man back here in Austin, University of Texas hydrologist and engineer Dr. David Maidment.
In the future, when you see a TV meteorologist who's looking at the rain maps in the sky, they'll also be able to look at anticipated flood mapping on the ground.
With an eye to actually predicting a looming flood, UT students zeroed in on one particular water crisis. They recreated Austin's Shoal Creek flood from last May with existing data, the forecast, creek levels, even the slope of the nearby land. Professor Maidment says this kind of trial is the backbone for the Water Center's ability to predict floods anywhere in the nation. You're able to spit out a flood forecast on the ground.
Yes, sir.
In how much time?
In 10 minutes.
Stay away from Lamar Boulevard in the downtown area. Shoal Creek is out of its banks.
The real Shoal Creek flood left local property owners and first responders scrambling, including this water rescue at House Park.
You can see this is in real-time evidence of how dangerous the jobs that these men and women do.
I've always been frustrated that there's no way to know, well, where is it going to flood? I mean, you're just telling me it might flood somewhere in Austin. Where? Which creek? How much? Is it going to flood my house or is it not?
People who live along Shoal Creek, like Susan Gamish, say even a little heads up would have saved them a world of grief.
If I'd had even just an hour, we could have saved photographs. I mean, all my photographs, you know, from traveling around the world and of my daughter when she was a baby, all of that was gone.
I want you to go find something that'll float.
Sending out an accurate local water forecast is only part of the game. The other piece is making sure first responders have the tools they need to plan ahead.
I'm providing that translation or that message to the public safety community about what they're working on.
This retired Austin fire chief was at the helm when historic floods hit Austin on Halloween 2 years ago. Now, Harry Evans is working with UT's Professor Maidment to make the massive computer models easy to understand for first responders locally. These colored street address maps, now being tested in Austin, show firefighters what to do, from where and when to call for evacuations to the safest routes to take, ideally decisions that will happen hours ahead of time. If Onion Creek were to flood in a year from now, AFD wouldn't be flying nearly as blind using this technology.
Absolutely. That's absolutely correct. Because they'd have information beforehand about the severity, and they would have already pre-planned out their actions.
Now, back in Alabama, a priority for the water center is to evaluate the accuracy of those new water flood forecasts. And staff there will soon be sending our local weather offices, Jim, what are known as situational awareness updates.
But for you and me, how long are we going to have to wait before we can open a flood forecast app on our phones?
So we want, of course, right? No, they're probably saying it's going to be about a year or so for that. But of course, there's a lot of interest out there, and we'll keep you updated.
Well, no need to wait for our weather warning, though. Just download the KXAN weather app for your smartphone. It has several features, including the option to zoom in on the radar, even down to your street. The app will also alert you if there is an immediate threat in your area. Remember, at the top of our report, we took a look at the deadly flooding in our area 1 year ago. Well, to see KXAN's coverage of that historic event, check out our interactive online feature, River Rising. We have a link in this story on the homepage of KXAN.com.